Tonight on NewsVision, Valentine's Day marks 7 years since the deadly school shooting in Parkland, Florida. We will introduce you to one survivor who shares how the tragedy changed her life.
I'm not grateful that it happened, but I am grateful for who I am.
Plus, President Trump's executive orders tightening restrictions and focusing on deportation have sparked protests in South Florida. We will tell you why local residents are taking a stand.
We're protesting for everyone's rights, especially for people who can't speak up.
And later on, Miami officials prepare for spring breakers. We will examine what rules are being put in place to keep residents and visitors safe in the coming weeks. All this and more on tonight's show. It starts right now. Good evening and welcome to NewsVision. I'm Gavin Bishow.
And I'm Kayla Butter. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow marks 7 years since the deadly shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. 17 people, 14 students, and 3 adults died in the tragedy. And a nationwide movement for gun violence and school safety called March for Our Lives was born. One of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history that happened not far from here has still many mourning the loss of their friends and loved ones. Taryn Jacobs spoke with one survivor who has found hope and purpose in the years since.
I'm not grateful that it happened, but I am grateful for who I am because it did make me a better person.
Keely Owens was a 15-year-old freshman at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida when a gunman killed 14 students and 3 adults on Valentine's Day in 2018.
I would say for the first couple of years that after, it was really hard and it was a really negative time. And it was hard to look at things positively because you think okay, what worse thing could happen to me than this?
And returning to school was anything but easy for Keely.
It was just a constant reminder. I mean, my first class of the day was right across from the building, and that's not easy to look at when you have boarded off windows and you know that they're boarded off because there's bullet holes through them.
So Keely had a fresh start at a new school away from the daily reminders of the tragedy.
I think that a lot of my healing came from telling myself, I need to make this change. I need to do everything that I want to do, and I need to make my life the most. I think that even me just talking about this, there's a part of my 15-year-old self that's being healed.
For Keely and the entire Parkland community, Valentine's Day will forever be the day they lost 17 souls. But it is also a day for reflection and giving back.
So I sort of take the 14th as a day to just give love to the people around me because that's what Valentine's Day is, but also be thankful for the life that I have and the fact that my life was spared that day.
And Keely says the most important thing is to never forget what happened in Parkland on February 14th, 7 years ago.
But people need to talk about this because if people don't talk about it, then it's we're just ignoring something that's real. This was something that really happened.
Taryn Jacobs, UMTV.
For the past 15 months, fighting between the militant groups Hamas and Israel has captured a global audience. A recent ceasefire and hostage release have been at the forefront of the news. Earlier today, Hamas threatened to postpone hostage releases, claiming Israel has violated the ceasefire agreement. This comes after President Trump told Hamas that they would have until Saturday to release all hostages. Here in Miami, people had a chance to visit one exhibit dedicated to some of those who died in the Hamas attacks that started the conflict. Johnny Mushkin is here in studio to tell us more. Johnny?
For the past 3 months, North Miami has hosted the Nova Exhibition Museum, which honors those who died in the October 7th attack that Hamas launched at Israel's Nova Festival. Its doors are set to close, but its impact is strong within the South Florida community. After 3 months in Aventura, the Miami Nova exhibition will leave South Florida on Sunday. The touring exhibit is an immersive experience as guests see, hear, and touch the remnants of the October 7th massacre that happened in Israel.
Having the opportunity to bear witness to really tragic events and moments of human suffering are the things that help us become better people. And all the more so for our community, the Jewish community that has been so hurt and harmed by the events of October 7th, by Hamas, by those terrorist actions.
From victim cell phones to burned cars, all the items are authentic. And unlike most museums, the Nova exhibit heavily encourages all visitors to touch the items.
What stood out to me, I've actually been in Israel since October 7th. I've been to the site in Israel where the Nova Festival was, and I actually found this exhibition to be even more powerful than standing in the location in Israel, because you actually feel like the way it's set up, you feel like you're part of that moment.
After a self-paced walkthrough, guests are invited to listen to a survivor who attended the Nova Festival. While the museum is set to leave North Miami soon, its impact is leaving the community with a spark of optimism for the future remembrance.
I'm really incredibly impressed by what they were able to do and the way that they were able to communicate this story. If we should listen to anything and take anything from this experience and from this exhibition, it should be exactly what they say they stand for. Making those connections, being with people, building the relationships that we need. That's the way that we're able to invest this story into our community to make change for the future.
The Nova tribe, which created and supports the exhibit, will end the 3-month stay here in South Florida with a festival to honor all those who died, as well as raise awareness for those who are still held hostage in the Middle East. The exhibit has already been to New York and Los Angeles. The Nova tribe has not yet announced where the exhibit will head to next. Guys?
Thank you, Johnny. Tensions have risen at Florida International University, where many students believe state government has been way too involved in their education. Emeline Smith joins us now live from FIU to tell us more. Emeline, what's going on?
Guys, on Friday, Florida's Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez was named interim president of FIU. Her term will begin on Monday, February 17th, and she will be the first alum and woman president to serve in the role. Now, the current president, Kenneth Jessel's tenure was to end in 9 months despite criticism from faculty and students. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis recommended Nunez for the role. But students have shared with us that they fear the new leader is going to implement the removal of policies such as diversity programs and gender classes in line with the directives from the Trump administration.
I think that the sudden rush of the president's switch is also something that can contribute to fear to students, because I feel like as though their voices have not been heard or they have not been asked as to whether or not they are okay with this change. And I can definitely see how that can raise some fear among students.
In protest, more than 100 students gathered to my left at the Ernest R. Graham Center, telling the school at noon today, telling the school that to reconsider their decision. Students chanted "Fascism, not hot," and "No to Nunez." Live for UMTV, I'm Emeline Smith.
Thank you, Emeline. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is clearing up rumors of his wife, Casey, replacing him at the end of his term. Rumors arose earlier this week that Casey DeSantis was truly considering a campaign in 2026. But in a statement on Tuesday, Governor DeSantis confirmed that she is not seeking to run, adding that the rumors are flattering.